Greetings to everyone. This is Margaret Kanimuri, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Biotechnology, St. Joseph College of Arts and Science for Women, HOSU. In this video, we are going to see about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are organic compounds. It is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which are primarily produced by the plants. They are extremely widespread in plants. They are the ultimate source of our food. Carbohydrates, it will give energy through its oxidation process. They supply carbon for the synthesis of the cell components, and at the same time they serve as a form of stored chemical energy. They are the part of structures of some cells and tissues. The term carbohydrate comes from the Greek word, and this carbohydrate means when we are heating the sugars, we will get carbon and water. Because of that only, it is called carbohydrates. Some common names are there for the carbohydrates. It is called sugars. And along with this lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids, the carbohydrate is also known as a biomolecules. Because of that, they are closely associated with the living organisms. Chemically, carbohydrates are composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. The general molecular formula for this carbohydrate is CH2ON. Here, N represents the numbers of repeating units. It is served as a primary source of energy for the body, particularly for the brain and muscles. When you consume this carbohydrates, it is broken down into simpler sugars during the digestion, and it is converted into energy through the various metabolic process. This carbohydrate not only giving the energy to our body, and also it is contribute to the structural components of cells and tissues, and it is participate in cellular signaling and play a role in immune system also. This is the sources of carbohydrates. The sugar is the main sources of carbohydrates. Pulses, nuts, cereals, potatoes, and milk products also plays a major role for the sources of carbohydrates. The healthiest sources of carbohydrates are unprocessed or minimally processed whole grains, vegetables, fruits, beans, and it will give good health by delivering vitamins, minerals, fibers, and host of important phytonutrients. Unhealthier sources of carbohydrates include white bread, pastries, sodas, and other highly processed or refined foods. These items easily digest the carbohydrates, and it may contribute to weight gain, interfere with weight loss, and promote diabetes and heart diseases. In this slide, we are going to study about this classification of these carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are mainly classified into three types: monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. These monosaccharides are again classified into trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses, and heptoses. The oligosaccharides are classified into disaccharides and trisaccharides. The polysaccharides are classified into structural polysaccharides and storage polysaccharides. Now we are going to study about this monosaccharides. The general formula for the monosaccharide is CH2O n times. These monosaccharides are the simplest form of carbohydrate, which means they cannot be hydrolyzed or broken down into smaller carbohydrates. The monosaccharides are again classified according to the presence of carbon atoms. Diose. Diose is a two carbon monosaccharides. Triose, it contains the three carbon monosaccharides. Example for this diose is glycerol 3 phosphate. A tetrose is a monosaccharide with four carbon atoms. Some of the naturally occurring tetroses are D-erythrose, D-thriose, and D-erythrulose. A pentose. Pentose means it is a five carbon atoms. Examples of pentoses are ribose, deoxyribose, arabinose, xylose, ribulose, and xylulose. Ribose and deoxyribose are the important constituents of nucleotides and nucleic acids. And this ribose is the pentose sugar. It is a component of nucleotides of RNA, whereas deoxyribose is the sugar component of nucleotides of DNA. Hexose. Hexose is a 6-carbon monosaccharide. These examples of hexoses are glucose, mannose, and galactose. The heptose is a 7-carbon monosaccharide. Examples of naturally occurring heptoses are pseudoheptanose. Now we are going to see about this disaccharides, the sucrose. The sucrose is obtained from the cane sugar. It is an ordinary table sugar and it is composed of alpha D glucose and beta D fructose unit. This alpha D glucose and beta D fructose units are joined by means of beta glycosidic linkage between of carbon 1 of glucose and carbon 2 of the fructose unit. Next, we are going to see about lactose. This lactose is also one of the disaccharide. It is obtained from the milk sugar. It is found in milk of all animals. Cow's milk contains 4 to 5 percentage and human milk contains 6 to 7 percentage of this lactose. Lactose is composed of beta D-galactose unit and alpha D-galactose unit. This beta D-galactose unit and alpha D-galactose units are joined by means of beta D-glycosidic linkage between of carbon 1 of the galactose and carbon 4 of the glucose unit. Maltose. Maltose is also known as the maltose sugar. It is produced in germinating grain from the barley. A starch is broken down during malting process and it is formed during the hydrolysis of starch to glucose during the digestion. This maltose is made up of two glucose unit, this alpha D glucose unit, and then two molecules of alpha D glucose units combined together and it is producing the maltose. This is all about carbohydrates, classification of carbohydrates and disaccharides. Thank you for watching this video.